Another busy night of severe weather getting underway in up and down the Mississippi and Missouri Valley as we have tornado watches up, a storm heading into the plains, blizzard warnings, high wind warnings in Texas and New Mexico, and even some winter weather advisories in northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Otherwise, the weather in the east was pretty calm. But we'll talk all about it and break it down oh so carefully tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island. Your go-to place this spring for topsoil, sand, and mulch. They've got tons of mulch. So head over there, 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. The website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is also now brought to you by WeatherFlow, makers of Tempest, which is the new revolutionary Tempest weather system. And you can join the fastest growing observation network on the planet. We will have more of that in the coming days. It's all very exciting. And
very exciting indeed.
Yes. And quick look before we go to our faces full screen. This is from Tornado HQ. We've got a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now, Iowa and northwestern Illinois are front and center. Don't have any tornado warnings yet, but they'll probably come soon enough on what is promising to be a busy night across that particular part of the country for the second time in less than a week, by the way. They're getting clobbered with a rather widespread severe weather outbreak. Meanwhile, Mr. Rayo, the curse of the onshore flow is about to be placed upon parts of the Northeast for tomorrow because Mr. Backdoor cold front is sagging southward, and it's going to get just south of Long Island and probably cut New Jersey in half. So if you're north of there and northeast of there tomorrow, it's going to be a kind of a saddish, gloom and doomish kind of day. But if you're south and west of that front, southern New Jersey, southern Pennsylvania, and point south, you can see temperatures well up into the 70s in some places. This is spring in the Northeast, is it not?
Well, you know, even places along the Connecticut shoreline, and I would also suppose along the south shore of Long Island, didn't really get the full brunt of the lovely mild weather that we had up here in Putnam County or New York City, New York, and also here in Putnam Valley, 73 degrees today. Any place to the north and west, temps were in the low to even middle 70s, but right near the shore areas, upper 50s to near 60. I think it was a cooler day.
Probably just barely near 50 right on the beach, I bet.
Probably. And so now we're only going to compound the problem because now most everybody, at least those who are going to be north of the front, which is sagging southbound, will probably pass through my neck of the woods around 2 or 3 in the morning. But tomorrow, a much different day, as you just alluded to, probably winds coming in from a easterly or maybe an east-southeasterly direction, and temps no better. Well, today we were in the low 70s. If we get to 55 tomorrow, we should consider ourselves lucky. And a lot of clouds, a spot or two of drizzle, maybe a brief shower here and there, kind of a ugly kind of day. And then we go right back into the warm sector probably on Thursday, and that could set the stage for some active weather. We talked about this yesterday. We said that the Storm Prediction Center did not stick their neck too far out to put us in any kind of convective activity. But lo and behold, today,
they nudged it up. They nudged it up today.
Marginal. Yeah. And they might even go a little higher than that. Although, as we said yesterday, nothing like last Saturday because the main disturbance, unlike last Saturday, we had this upper level V, if you will, that came roaring through here and helped set the stage for severe weather, tornadoes, and everything. This time around, a lot of the energy is going to shear off to the north, but still, the clash between very mild air back into the 70s and cooler air coming in on Friday will probably set the stage for a little bit of convection, some showers, and maybe a gusty thunderstorm or two here and there later on Thursday.
And I'm thinking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday look pretty decent.
Yes, they do.
Meanwhile, I got to 82 today, Joe. 82.
Lovely.
Yes, I also had lunch at a friend's house today, and he lives up on one of the mountains on the north side of town. I have to tell you, getting there with my truck was not easy. Was not easy.
You needed 4-wheel drive, or?
Not that you needed 4-wheel drive so much, but dirt roads going up very narrow, okay?
Yeah.
These are dirt roads that are supposed to accommodate traffic going in both directions. Thankfully, and the thing about living up here is that a lot of roads will kind of, they'll come off a main road, and then they'll wind back through the mountains, and then they'll come back to the main road someplace else, miles and miles downways. And a lot of the roads have similar names. So where I was going took me, the GPS took me to the wrong part of that road. And let me tell you, I stopped and prayed that nobody would be coming in the other direction. I hardly had enough room to make a U-turn when I realized that I was, not where I was supposed to be. Plus, the fact that I lost my GPS signal in the mountains, and I was...
Oh, you can't...
I called my friend up. I couldn't call him because I lost phone service as well. So for a minute there, I was almost in a state of panic, like, how am I going to get out of here? But I somehow, obviously I did, because I'm sitting here as I sit here every Monday through Thursday night at 7:35 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, but not on Fridays and Saturdays when Joe and I usually take those 2 days off unless there's a storm going on. Welcome to everybody on the chat board. Thought I'd sneak in that shameless self-promotion. And thanks for being here tonight. Welcome to those of you who are watching somewhere out there in YouTube land. But if you hit the subscribe button to my YouTube channel, you too can get notifications about when we are on, which, as I mentioned just a little while ago, I won't mention it again, in terms of the dates, days, and times. So do that. And of course, if you like the Joe and Joe Weather Show, and 30 people so far do like the show, please hit the like button, as we always like to try and strive to get to 100 likes before the show comes to its natural conclusion. Natural or unnatural.
Your adventure sounded very much like what Renata and I went to when we went to Arizona. We had visited a friend of ours, and he lives at 6,600 feet above sea level in Arizona, far away from anything. And in fact, they even give you warnings. You're taking this road at your own risk. 18 miles, and it took the better part of an hour on ungraded, rocky, curvy, swervy roads. So I can empathize with what you went through today, Joe. It did. Sometimes, if you're not used to that sort of thing, it can get a little hairy.
Oh, yeah, no, it did today. I mean, I live on a dirt road, off a dirt road, but it's a little more manageable than what I had to deal with this. On the other hand, though, when I did get to my friend's house, he made some great burgers on the grill, and we had a nice lunch. So it was worth the yodeling up the mountain that I had to do.
How was it? How was it yodeling down the mountain? I would hope that if he was such a good friend, that he'd say, "Don't worry about it. Follow me." Did he do that, or did he allow you to go down?
He came down to get me, because I trying to find my way once I got on the right roads, but even then I still couldn't, there was all these other roads coming off with no street signs. So he did come to get me, but he lives at the end of a road, and there's no room to make a U-turn, so you have to go back in reverse. That took me the better part of probably the better part of 15 minutes. At least it felt like 15 minutes to go maybe 100 yards. because there were ditches on either side of me. So anyway, that's
Good
all.
Lord.
That's all done with. Love the heart emojis, by the way. Thank you very much. Very nice to see heart emojis and beer emojis and applause emojis and all the rest of it. All right, let's get started tonight. We'll go to the Watches and Warnings map and take a look at what's going on there because it's lit up like a Christmas tree in the middle part of the country. And there you have it. My favorite color, by the way, is that orange color, the blizzard warning color. That's a nice color for a blizzard warning.
Blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we've got a lot of there's actually been a few extra added blizzard warnings for some counties in Nebraska, in northwest Nebraska, in southeastern Wyoming. A bunch of counties now under blizzard warnings. Half of South Dakota, much of North Dakota. Winter weather advisories and a few winter storm warnings surround either side of that. There's one county there up in northeastern Minnesota, east of International Falls, that's got a blizzard warning surrounded by winter storm warnings and blizzard warnings in northwestern Minnesota. Meanwhile, in the yellow, we have tornado watches up in northwestern Illinois, much of southeastern Iowa and northern Missouri. We have high wind warnings up for West Texas and many counties in the state of New Mexico and southeastern Colorado. Some patches of wind advisories in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, eastern Illinois, Indiana, western Ohio, western and central Kentucky, western Tennessee, southeastern Missouri, northeastern Arkansas, northwestern Mississippi, the western half of Louisiana, and easternmost Texas. So busy with the wind. Meanwhile, we've got some winter weather advisories in a couple of counties way up in upstate New York, north of that boundary there, that backdoor cold front. Also in central and northern Vermont, central and northern New Hampshire, and except for the coast, just about the whole state of Maine under a winter weather advisory for tonight. The rest of the East Coast is pretty quiet for the time being.
And we like it quiet, although it may not be so quiet in 48 hours from now.
No, but again, I think it's important we point out the fact that, as we've been pointing out, that the setup right now is a little different than what it was back last Friday. By the way, we have additional. I just did a refresh here of the watches and warnings map. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch up now for northeastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, and those. Then another area also in northwestern Missouri and northeastern Kansas. So again, SPC busy with putting up these watches and warnings. Let's look at the loop of the satellite, and I'm going to give this an update here. Hold on, just give me a moment. I'm just going to refresh and see if we can get this up to date. It's this one thing. This used to just update automatically. I didn't have to do anything. Now I have to, every time I do the show, I got to make sure I update it. And good, there's no flashes of white, so all the frames are here. And you can see in the northeast, there's this band of clouds from Lake Ontario east across Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That's the backdoor front. And in the meantime, all the tropical moisture coming out of the Pacific across Mexico and Texas and shooting northward, getting involved with the deepening low that's moving from Kansas on up northeastward toward Wisconsin. And you're seeing the colors there. Those are all lightning strikes that are being picked up by the GOES here across Iowa. And we've got a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings there and also in northwestern Illinois. Not a whole lot yet happening further south. There are two areas tonight that SPC is looking at, and one is the moderate risk zone that we have in eastern Iowa, northwestern Illinois, and there's another area of moderate risk from south central Missouri southward through western Arkansas. Those might start to fire up a little later on tonight, but definitely definitely getting on to be on the busy side now as we move through the evening hours.
And Renata was looking out the window just a short while ago, and she said, "Does that look like fog?" And I said, "No, it looks like it's getting dark." Or she said, "No, I thought it was a fog." But whenever we have a weather front like we will have over the next 24 hours lying in our general vicinity, especially if the front is just to your south, there is going to be some fog. I'm not sure if it's going to be. Uh, it'll probably be patchy fog. Some places like around White Plains, which always seems to get thick, dense fog, may be the rule later tonight or tomorrow morning. But anyway, that's going to be just another facet of, albeit a quiet, but another facet of our weather locally. It's going to be quite a different story tomorrow as opposed to the beautiful weather we had out there today.
Carol DeCaris, did I hear about the tornado in Delaware? Yes, on Saturday. I'm going to get to that in a little bit because Mount Holly did sent out a whole bunch of things this afternoon regarding the tornadic activity that occurred in New Jersey and Delaware. So I'll get to that in just a bit. But here's the radar right now, and you can see the activity is rather robust in, well, it looks like it's central Iowa at the moment. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm counting 7 severe thunderstorm warnings there. There's another one in northwestern Missouri. There's a tornado warning in play right now in northwestern Illinois, so we'll take a look at that. In the southern part, where we've got the moderate risk from south central Missouri and into western Arkansas, those cells haven't really fired up yet, but I think they're going to get going in short order. Now, we'll check out Tornado HQ. And for those of you, it's tornadohq.com, and it's really handy because you can get all the severe thunderstorm warnings up. And we actually have another tornado warning now that has just been issued in central Iowa. So let's take a look. This one was 5 minutes ago, and this is for Jasper, Lucas, Mahaxa, Marion, Poweshiek, Poweshiek.
I'm not even going to attempt to try to pronounce this.
Poweshiek and Warren counties. This is in Iowa. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Lacona, or about 12 miles southeast of Indianola, moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Double nickel speed there. That's fast. That's a rocket ship. And another one that was issued 12 minutes ago. This is for McDonough County in Illinois. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Fandon, Fandon, or 9 miles southwest of Macomb, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. And this is a good time. If you're watching this, it's 7:54 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're watching this on a replay, obviously when we mention these warnings, they are dated. So if you are in an area that is being threatened by severe weather, where are you going to go to get your latest information, Joe Rayo?
Joe and Joe.
No.
Oh, you mean you mean when they're not watching us live?
Right. If they're watching us on a replay.
Weather.gov.
Thank you. You want to go to weather.gov.
Yeah.
God. Otherwise, there's also one lone severe thunderstorm warning somewhere to the southeast of Grand Rapids in Michigan. That sort of looks like a renegade cell that's showing up there. And as far as the rest of the radar is concerned, obviously in the east there's not much. There's a little bit of light precip activity. It's probably a bunch of this is aloft anyway that you see in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And then down out in the west, we've still got some patches of snow going on in parts of Wyoming, Colorado, western Montana, parts of Idaho and Utah, and some scattered precip. Scattered rain and snow showers in Washington State and in Oregon. So let's go back to the Storm Prediction Center and take a look at what's on the map with the watches. And you see this here, you got the 2 severe thunderstorm watches up and a tornado watch sandwiched in between in that moderate risk zone. We do not have anything yet, again, in terms of watches that are up for that area that's down from southern Missouri down into western Arkansas. So that's for today. Tomorrow, We have seen the Storm Prediction Center beef this up too. Now we've got an enhanced risk of severe weather being indicated tomorrow in the Ohio Valley and into the lower lakes region of in and around Michigan. And going back to Chicago tomorrow, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, who else? Lexington, Louisville, Memphis, all in this enhanced area of severe weather risk. St. Louis is in the slight risk, and Milwaukee is also on the border there of the slight and the enhanced. And that is, by the way, with a 10% tornado risk, the highest risk being further north in that enhanced risk zone. Should also go back. Let's go back to tonight's. I didn't show the tornado risk here. And you see the risk here tonight in the two moderate risk areas. We've got a 15% tornado risk and a 10% surrounding that. So those numbers are on the high side. And then for day 3, which is Thursday into Friday, there's your marginal risk. The eastern flank goes from Chuck Cardillo's house maybe to New York City. So it covers just about all of New Jersey. Eastern and to south central Pennsylvania, much of Maryland, a good chunk of the state of Virginia, all of Delaware. And that's pretty easy to, when the marginal risk to cover the state of Delaware. It isn't exactly a big state. And western parts of North Carolina, also a small area of marginal risk inland in South Texas. And after that, since we do have the Easter holiday weekend coming up, potential too low on day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8, Joe. So it looks like a 5-day break maybe coming up as far as severe weather is concerned. So that's good news.
I think it is. In fact, on the Climate Prediction Center, actually yesterday was the day to do this, not today.
Well, you can share it today.
Well, yesterday would have been better to share because yesterday there was nothing to show. They on their 8 to 14 day U.S. hazards outlook, they had nothing.
Okay.
No hazards in terms of temperature, no hazards nationwide for precipitation, no hazards for snow, no hazards for wind. But today they've changed things up a little bit. Now they have a slight risk for.
Well, don't you want to show that?
Well, again, it's the same old story. I mean, they actually have hazards posted, but when they don't have any hazards posted for the 4 different, temperature, precip, snow, and wind, that's something to show. All I'll tell you is that, they have some hazard for temperatures along the West Coast. They have they do have a hazard in the middle of the country for the 14th through the 16th for some heavy precipitation. No snow. I think that I'm not going to say it. I was going to say it looks like that's it for the snow, but you never know. And then for wind, they have most of the western half of the country in line for some gusty winds from the 12th to the 18th of April. But no big deal. No, nothing really to write home about overall.
Okay.
For the coming days ahead. Very quiet weather pattern.
Not a whole lot of rain, by the way, from this weather front. I have the 7-day rainfall liquid precip forecast, and only showing about 1/4 of an inch with that front that's coming through on Thursday. Higher amounts, though, from North Carolina across the Gulf states back into southeast and South Texas, where we've got a little swath there of 2 to 3 inches, 2 individual patches. There's also a patch there of 5 inches or more in southeast Texas, near and including the city of Houston in that thing, if I'm reading the map correctly. Also, a little bit of hefty precip, 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches plus in the northern lakes, and busy in the Pacific Northwest, where we've got several to many inches of precip being indicated. I'm sure some of that is going to wind up being snow in the Cascades. So, as far as the overall pattern is concerned, I think we're going to get into a bit of a break here. Why don't we take a look at the upper air and see what, magical things that has to tell us. And I'll just roll it back here so we can we'll take it forward from now. And again, last week, remember Joe was saying, here's that V-shape trough last Friday and Saturday that brought the severe weather into the east, and now that's gone, obviously. But this time around, we've got a big, instead of a flow from Canada that was pretty far south, this time around we've got a ridge in the east. So this deep trough that dove down into the west is tracking well north and west through the Dakotas tonight and on up into northwestern Minnesota and passes close to Lake Winnipeg and then runs up towards James Bay and Hudson Bay. It goes way to the north. I mean, you can hardly pick out a shortwave that's coming through here on Thursday. It's actually more of the ridge just kind of weakening as opposed to a trough that's really denting that ridge. So,
right.
Yeah,
right.
The dynamics, there might be enough daytime heating. I suppose you certainly could make the case, and maybe that's what SPC is talking about. When we say a marginal risk, it probably means that there could be some isolated severe thunderstorms as opposed to a patchy areas of thunderstorms or broken line segments of thunderstorms or squall line of thunderstorms. So in this case, I think this front will have a line of showers and there'll be a couple of thunderstorms in the mix, and maybe one or two of them could wind up being elevated to something on the strong side. But after that goes by, we don't have another deep cutoff diving into the western part of the United States through the weekend and into early next week. In fact, the flow across much of the U.S. is fairly benign. We're up to Wednesday now. There's a little cutoff that's off the southeast coast and off the Florida coast. Apparently now the models have completely backed away from that whole mess that they were showing yesterday. There is a strong trough that comes in the middle part of next week into the west, and you see it here diving down. So this might be the next system that will perhaps bring severe weather possibilities. But notice that at least on this run today, that you get a nice big ridge that pops up there around the middle part of April, and then it's kind of sort of slides over to the east coast. This will be nice if that happens. Look at that. That's a nice ridge. You could get pretty warm with that, and maybe not a whole lot of worries from backdoor cold fronts.
I'm running really. I must be running well behind you, Joe, because I still have the on my screen now. I still have the WPC 7-day precipitation outlook.
Oh yeah, you'll catch up. You'll catch up shortly.
Oh, there it is. There we go. We just got out of that now.
Yeah,
so that's good. As soon as I open up my big mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean the pattern does at least we're not going to have a third system in a series that's going to come in, and we'll have a little bit of a break here before another system. And once again, every time the models even show a hint of the pattern, the overall pattern that's been around for months now, breaking down, another system comes crashing into the West Coast and drops pretty far south into California. I'm just going to kind of take a look at this on the surface to see if there's any snow with that. I bet you there is. Yeah, there is. Of course there is. As if some of the mountains there, don't need another foot or two on top of the 80 feet that they've already had, or whatever the numbers are. The 70 or 80 feet of snow on some of those mountains, like Mammoth Mountain. Johnny Quest has been sending me occasional reports about how much snow's falling out there. I read them and I'm like, my mind can't even grip it. It's just I just can't even wrap my head around the kind of numbers that are getting thrown out there. All right, so here's our storm for tonight. The storm system going up into Wisconsin. The backdoor front, it's really hard to find. It's just more that the isobars sort of just turn more southeast, and you get a bit of an onshore flow there. Then, of course, the front goes north on Thursday, and then we wait for the front to pass. The model does pick up on some showers, and you can see there's that yellow there in southern New Jersey into Delaware and Maryland, so that probably represents perhaps some heavier downpours and a thunderstorm or two. Also, you see the moisture building in Texas and Louisiana, because the front does get hung up across the southeast for a couple of days. Right into the Easter weekend. So I'm going to probably have some gloomy wet weather here starting on maybe Thursday and then lasting through Saturday before I get some improvement coming for Easter Sunday. So that'll be nice. It does look to be a bit on the coolish side, though, in the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states Friday through Sunday, particularly Saturday, I think.
I think Saturday we're going to see temperatures in the double nickel category, at least up here in the Hudson Valley. And also so Friday, behind that front on Thursday late, Friday could be a little bit on the breezy side, not windy, but I could see winds, blowing at 15 or 20 miles an hour, probably out of a northwesterly direction, and they'll swing around more to the north and northeast. And we'll have as I said, we'll have a kind of a coolish day on Saturday with temps in the mid 50s, and then jumping back up to or maybe above 60 for Easter Sunday for all of those who are going to be having Easter egg hunts. I guess they still do that on Easter Sunday morning, or maybe they'll have it on Saturday. Some, I think, at the White House, they have the Easter egg hunt or Easter egg roll on the day after Easter, I think, on a Monday.
Yeah.
So whatever. The weather
looks pretty quiet. Yeah, at least there's no threat of severe weather. It looks like some snow back in the west come Friday. Again, shocker there. There's a low that comes out of Colorado on Friday the 14th and 15th and runs up through the Dakotas. And it looks at least for now, we get into a little bit of a benign stretch and catch a little bit of a break when it comes to all this severe weather that we've seen. And it's time. The atmosphere has to reload. Basically, it can't just keep. Although you look at what's happened in the West, apparently it can occasionally just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. But
right.
But the outbreak last Friday and Saturday. It was so large, and this one tonight is going to be. It's going to be a large outbreak. It's probably not going to be as large as the one for Friday and Saturday, but it still will be significant, and probably will be significant also for tomorrow. So we'll get these two out of the way, and then we can breathe a little bit. I want to find. Let me see if I can find it. And
thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Sammy Presley. He didn't hit super chat, but he came up with a very lovely comment. Joe and Joe are better than TV weather.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yes.
So Mount Holly put up. Where are they? Okay, so here's the graphic. I found it. Okay, so this is a summary of what happened on Saturday in New Jersey. And so here we go. Let me bring that up on the screen here. And okay, so this is from the National Weather Service at Mount Holly, which covers much of New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. These were the tornadoes that they've confirmed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornadoes in New Jersey.
Wow.
6, okay?
Wow.
1 in Delaware, and another in Wrights Township in Newtown, Pennsylvania. Now, the Delaware tornado, Joe, in Bridgeville, Ellendale, Delaware, was an EF3. An EF3. The New Jersey.
And that was the one, because we were on the air last Saturday night, and I pointed that out. That was the one that was moving right through up where, right by the boundary between Delaware, right on the Delmarva Peninsula, extreme northern Delaware, that went offshore, and probably a small part of it nicked extreme southern New Jersey, over near Cape May. But we were watching that. That was kind of a separate cell from all the other mayhem that was going on along that line of activity that was causing all the showers and storms and tornadic activity to the north and west. But remember, we did point that out, that one area that moved right across northernmost Delaware and really nailed them. EF3. Wow.
Yeah, EF3.
140 mile an hour winds.
So Mount Holly's got 7 tornadoes here in New Jersey. So I just want to make the count correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There was a where they investigated in Palmyra, Riverton, New Jersey. That was indicated to be straight line wind damage. Okay. The Jackson Township, New Jersey, was an EF2. The Jackson Howell Township, New Jersey, which apparently is a separate tornado, was also an EF2. The Seagirt, New Jersey, was an EF2. The Allentown Cream Ridge, New Jersey, was an EF1. The Wrightstown Township, Newton, Pennsylvania, was an EF1. The Cinnaminson, Delran, Morristown, New Jersey, in South Jersey, and Burlington County was an EF1. The Crosswicks, New Jersey, was an EF1. And the Mays Landing, New Jersey, was an EF1. So those are the final tallies from Mount Holly with regards to their investigations. And I go back to yesterday's chart, which showed 69 tornadoes in Mount Holly's zone in the last 4 years. So that comes to, what is that? 19? No. 18? No. 15, 16, 16, 17, roughly 17 tornadoes per year. And that's high. That is a very, very high number. I don't think we're going to hold that pace. It would be amazing if we did hold that pace, because then we'll come out with 20-year numbers that'll be completely off the wall.
Exactly. It's well, you get these anomalies sometimes. I mean, I just did for one of my vendors who asked a question: how many hurricanes have we been averaging in the United States, the contiguous United States, over the last 10 years? And the number I came up with was two per summer or two per year. And he found that difficult to believe, but I had to point out to him, I said, back around 2013, 2014, 15, we had none. Believe it or not, we had a period where there was no hurricanes that hit the United States. And then in 2005, we had 7 in one single season. So it all balances out. But, I would hope that this is going to be the last time that we're going to see 7 tornadoes in New Jersey and 1 in Delaware. I hope we're not going to go through one of those nights again for a very, very long, long time.
Yeah, it was a little bit early.
Yes.
I mean, barely out of the month of March. It's almost as surprising, I guess, as having them in the middle part of December.
Exactly, and we did have
it.
We did have in December there was an outbreak, and in January we had tornadic outbreaks in Wisconsin. The first time they ever had a December tornado sighting in over 50 years. And I think in Indiana they had a few tornadoes in December. So it's wacky. Yep. It really is.
So do you have Briller Jeopardy tonight, or as I don't?
I do believe I do. Yes.
All right. So while you're getting that ready, we've got 65 likes tonight, and in the spring the audience kind of tails off a little bit, but we still like to get to 100. So if we can, if you like the show, this is your opportunity. If you haven't hit the like button, to hit the like button.
Okay, well, here we go with Briller Jeopardy tonight from Scott. Now, wait a minute now. I just want to make sure here. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm all set here. So Briller Jeopardy for tonight, the average high temperature in April. We're continuing on that note. The average high temperature for the month of April. And when you think about an answer, remember that for an average in April, we're thinking more along the lines of the 15th, tax day, as opposed to the 1st or the 30th, where there could be some significant changes between the beginning of the month and the end of the month. But the first of the 5 cities we have tonight, average temperature in April, is Dallas. Big D, Dallas. What's the average high temperature in April in Dallas, Texas?
I'll say 75.
Okay, well, that's close, but
Well, Keith Rosenberg said 76, and so did Maggie P. Leon Probisky said 74. Tom Hurd said 72.
But Anthony Spiraccio hit it. No, he didn't. I'm sorry.
He said what I said, 75.
Yeah. Yes,
Johnny Quest said 73. Adam Lowe said 77 WABC degrees.
And Adam Lowe got it, along with Christopher Alley, 77 degrees, the average high temperature
And Sammy
in Dallas,
Presley
Texas.
also said 77.
Now, I'm not sure what it is in Fort Worth. You know, it might have been 76, it might have been 78, but in Dallas, it's 77. Now, here's number 2, the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. Average temperature in April.
I will say. I will say 60. Frank Riccio said 57. Kenneth Rosenberg 54. Keith James 56. Chuck Cardillo says 64.
Not yet.
Sammy Presley 56. Frank Scalera 53. Dennis Cassia 58.
I'll tell you what. It's between Dennis Cassia and Joe Cioffi.
Okay, so I said what, 62? So
no, you said 60.
60. So that means that the correct answer is nobody said 59.
And
except
that's the answer.
Tim and Ross Niederman got the hint, so they both said 59. And
Latex Dreams and Ross Niederman, yes.
And Frank Scalera 63.
Yeah. How about the city of the cards, St. Louis? I've been to St. Louis.
St. Louis, I'll say 65.
Not quite.
Frank Scalera, no, Keith James has 72. Frank Riccio 62. Christinapedia 58. Adam Lowe 67. Maggie.
But Frank's.
Go.
Yes.
Maggie
Frank Scalera got it.
Oh, Frank Scalera got it at 63?
Yes. No, 68.
68? I thought he said 63. Yes.
No, Frank Scalera, 68.
Oh, okay. He put it in twice. I see the 68 now. Okay.
Well.
And so did Kenneth Rosenberg, by the way, 68. And a few others came close.
Yes.
All right. Next is
Le Parque Central. Central Park.
I'm going to say, 55, 68, so 62.
Da-da!
And Kenneth Rosenberg also said 62. Tom Hurd also said 62. So
notice they all say 62 after we declare you 62.
Right, 62, folks. I got it on the nose. 62.
Yes. And here's the last one, Joe. The last one of the night. San Diego.
Oh, good God. I have no clue what San Diego. 71. 71. I have no idea. When it comes to California, I really don't have, California is one of these weird places, especially along the coast. I mean, you could literally go walk 3 blocks. If you're right near the Pacific Ocean, it could be 60. You walk 3 blocks, it's 99. So, I mean, it's the sea breeze gradient there is tighter than it is in the Northeast in the springtime. So I'm just going to say 71.
I'm looking here on the chat board to see if anybody got the correct answer, and so far nobody has. And boy, I tell you, the ranges here: Adam Lowe 59, Sammy Presley 72.
Well, I mean, is that downtown San Diego? Is that the airport in San Diego? I don't know. Is it Del Mar? I mean,
well, wait a minute. Jesse Chiodo?
Chiodo. Oh, I'm sorry, Chiodo. Well, Jesse, if he says it's CHI in Italian is key, so it's Chiodo. 69, he says.
Whatever. And he got it, 69.
So I wasn't far off with 71.
No, and Leon Probitsky got 69 as well. So there you go.
And Frank, well, it's good to get 69. Frank Scalera. I'll hold on to my dongle in the meantime. Frank Scalera, Joe, hit Super Chat, hitting the tip jar. Thank you, Frank. Most appreciated. Thank you very much. 81 likes, so we're 19 short. And I don't know. I don't have much else to talk about today with regards to, anything so that we could get to 100.
It's quiet. I don't think we'll be too upset if we don't make it to 100 tonight.
Well, Leon Probitsky, by the way, just admitted that he cheated. Well, you know, Ilion, it's good that you open up and that you're honest about your cheating. I'm guessing that you're not alone, but I'm not. I don't want to accuse anyone. But no matter, it's good.
I'm very cautious with my forecast these days. Yesterday, I said there was an 80% chance of Tuesday. And guess what, Joe? I nailed it.
You did, yeah. And you gave yourself the 20% chance that we would have had the apocalypse Monday night and there wouldn't be Tuesday.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, good Lord. All right. So, all right, we'll call it a night. So, back tomorrow night, folks, at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, Joe, you're not going to be around, so I will solo Thursday. So I'll keep it at 7:35. Whenever I move it to 7 o'clock, it's because I want to go to bed. Basically. So for some reason, if I push it back to 7 o'clock, it feels like I'm getting everything done earlier so that I can maybe watch a little television afterward and then go to sleep. I'm tired today too. I don't know why. I'm a little extra tired. So, all right, tomorrow night, 7:35, everybody. Thanks for the 85 likes. Frank Scalera, thanks for hitting Super Chat, and we'll see you then.
Bye-bye, folks.